G'day ladies and gentlemen, it's Duckphil here, going to bring you some Heart of the Swarm action. Of course, it is going to be on Newkirk City, and we're going to be featuring a player who is, well, he's effectively gone completely unknown for, I don't know, for a little while, but there was a very romantic moment with Roots Cats. Of course, the team leader there was playing a couple of ladder games and found this young gentleman here from Sweden who he thought was, I quote, he countered him beautifully and played a fantastic game. It is new recruit to Team ROOTSucceed. He's going to be our red Protoss over at the left-hand side here. His opponent going to be on the opposite corner down here in the bottom right as our blue Zerg player. He's an unknown barcode player, which is all fun and games, but we'll call him Mr. Blue, or we'll just go with Blue. So we'll see how he goes. Of course, both these players are pretty highly ranked in Heart of the Swarm. We've got Succeed up in at least the top 20, I believe, in GM on Heart of the Swarm. His opponent is a High Masters player, from what I could deduce from the details that were on the loading screen, and also from just, you know, my first little 5-minute brief watch through of this game. Yeah, so we'll see how it goes. Succeed. There wasn't really too much personal information that was released, you know, things that he's been into, personal gaming history, these kinds of things. But, you know, he's been relatively unknown for a little while. As I said, Cats met up with him and actually got him into the team, and now he lives in Peru with Cats in the Root headquarters and has been doing really, really well in getting his play up to a really good level. Of course, you know, high GM in HOTS, which is currently very much dominated by Korean players. There are a few foreign players that are in the HOTS high level GM, but geez, the Koreans are all over the shop. And of course, with global play, it's going to be like that for quite a long time. But you know, we'll see if the foreigners can do something about that. Succeed is going to start out with a gateway inside the main. He's got one gas started up. We'll get a cybernetics core started up. So he's not going to go for anything akin to a Forge Expand or anything like that. What he's going to do, like, you may sort of look at this. If you've just sort of transitioned in, if you've just walked in the door from Wings of Liberty, you say, what the hell is this guy doing? Why is he walling off with the cybernetics core? Why has he got the gateway in base? These kinds of things have started to become especially the gateway in base. This is starting to become a little bit more popular in Wings of Liberty as Protoss players get a little bit more confident in PvZ. But you know, especially the cyber wall off at the front is something that is not done too often. Looks like Blue is going to try and block off the natural hatchery, the natural nexus with a hatchery there, so he's going to get that going. Of course, if he gets it up, then that is that can be quite annoying. Some lings may come out. Of course, you know, the other big benefit of getting a hatchery up in this position, not only does it block the nexus for quite a while, the creep will stay there, and you know, once you actually kill the hatchery, those little pesky broodlings will come out and they can be quite annoying. But the good thing about what Succeed has done here, getting the double gas up, he's already got his warp gate tech going. This means that his Zerg opponent will not be able to expand to a third base as quickly as they would like. Even if, you know, he did go for this kind of play. But we'll see what he gets up to here. Can't really see too much of what's going on. Interestingly, Succeed is going to use a Stargate at the front door. This is not something you see every day, but his opponent will catch that is there. With a force field, he's able to block off the drone and is able to leave no trace. So it is going to be what is effectively a one-base Stargate play here from Succeed. I'm really intrigued as to what exactly he's going to go for here. In fact, he is just going to follow it up with a Nexus. So he's, you know, leaving this little spot here. We can put, I don't think that's enough room for a full building there. I don't know. We'll see in a minute. But anyway, we'll see how he completes that wall off. Meanwhile, his probe count looking good, up to 30 probes right now. His opponent, of course, up to 29 drones. Of course, we'll see heaps of those coming out in the next few minutes, and we'll see how he's going to deal with this very fast expansion with the tech that's also behind it. I really like how Succeed is playing this. He said he's actually going to get a robo here. He's going to get the Stargate out. Of course, the Void Ray will come out very quickly here. Our blue Zerg player is going to have to be very, very careful with how he he decides to react to this. It looks like he is going to get an infestation pit up very quickly. Keep in mind, we're on 36 drones right now. This is quite a fast infestation pit. He's going to have the options of swarm hosts, and also perhaps the option of a couple of infestors, maybe. And we'll see how he decides to defend against this, because I'm very surprised that he hasn't actually thrown down at least one spore crawler in one of the mineral lines, or maybe even both of the mineral lines, just to sort of make sure that there is no fancy sort of stuff coming along. But he's going to go for a bit more of a fun play here. A Nidus network getting started inside the main. Now this is probably going to mean we're going to get swarm hosts. I have not really seen anyone do infestors in this kind of situation, because they're not persistent. The infestors can do some really nice stuff with the infested Terrans, but I mean at this stage of the game it's not going to be too powerful against just a simple kind of wall off that we have here from Succeed. So Succeed again, it was as Katz had said in his little talk about playing against Succeed, always scouting out with hallucinated sentries. He's going to won't catch the infestation pit, but does see the Nidus Swarm there, and I mean that's a big sign of what you're going to be dealing with. So as long as he is able to deal with the Nidus Swarm, which has started down here, the Void Ray trying to clear out some of the overlords that are around the base. Unfortunately, the Nidus Swarm is already here. It's about to pop out, and that is going to get the attack started. Just a couple of queens right now. None of the swarm hosts are coming out, but they're just about to pop up. The Void Ray trying to do its best against the Nidus Swarm. Of course, activating the prismatic alignment is a good way to get these guys out of here, because they are armored, of course, being technically buildings, even though it's just a unit. So it looks like blue is not going to be able to get too much damage done here. The queen's coming about and in fact getting trapped by some beautiful force fields from Succeed. And the two queens, well, one of them goes down maybe a second, but he decides, you know what, it's a better idea to make sure that no units come out here, because at the moment, what have we got? We've just got a few Protoss units. The Void Ray is getting very close to death. In fact, it will go down. And so I think he made the right choice there. Taking down the worm means that there are no units that are going to come out, and it means that despite having a little bit of annoying creep here, Succeed will be able to proceed with his normal plan. So he's continued to tech up. We got the Twilight Council here. Interestingly enough, there is no Mothership Core just as of yet. So I'm a little bit curious as to, how he's going to proceed. It looks like he is going to stick with a basic sort of just the gateway force with a few sentries coming out of. There is one immortal along with some Void Rays. This is going to be very protected against anything roach based or anything like that, and blue is going to be reacting with a Spire. So he's going to go up to the Spire tech. Does need a way to deal with the Void Rays as best as possible, so having those corruptors around is useful to have. It's also going to be a good thing to have the option to bring out some Mutalisks if need be. And it looks like we're going to get started with another Nidus Swarm here. The Immortal and the Sentry is just coming about, taking care of that very easily. And it looks like we'll continue to deny all of this pressure that blue is trying to put on. So nothing of the sort is coming along. It looks like the swarm hosts have decided, alright guys, we're not going to get anything done here, so we're going to head out across the map. The other interesting factor is that blue has no vision around the map at the moment, because all those overlords have been cleared out by the Void Rays and of course the sentries that are poking about. So I do like how he has been able to protect that very cute little wall off here with those force fields, the pylons that are being built there. That's very cool. Does get the cancel down, of course, because the swarm hosts busting out their locust, and it looks like that will be held off for the moment. Still got these proxy pylons just across to the side. I'm a little bit surprised that blue hasn't decided to deal with these, but he does need to somehow get some damage on Succeed, because you don't want to have your Protoss opponent sitting on two bases while you're barely getting your third base up and running, as we can see here. So he's got to be very careful with what he does from here. It looks like he's still trying to maneuver the swarm hosts into a good position where they can get some damage on, but there is just not enough. And with the with no link speed, yeah, there it is. It's finally coming along. It looks like you will be able to get some lings out on the field, maybe do some harassment that way, but they are having a little bit of trouble clearing out some of these proxies. So it looks like they will finally take down the Zealots. Of course, these guys fantastic at dealing with those lings, able to get a bunch of kills, and finally speed kicks in. So we'll probably see, like, I would guess that blue is going to perhaps calm down a little bit right now. He does have a whole bunch of mutas that have just popped out. I think the total was looking around about, we got 5 at the moment. There will be a few more as well. Around about 7 more are just about to pop out. So he is going to have quite a lot of mutas. These guys should be fine. at dealing with some of the Void Rays. Of course, keep in mind the prismatic alignment only does bonus to armored units, so they won't be doing as much damage against the mutas. They still do a fantastic job of taking down some of the mutas before the Void Rays themselves have been removed. And there is that Phoenix scouting from Succeed, just continuing on with checking out what his opponent is up to. Knows that the third base is up and running. We'll probably see the fourth at some point as well, but it's just extremely awesome to see a Protoss player taking advantage of free hallucination, and it is nice to see these sorts of things. Even hallucinating a Colossus to make it look like he has a lot more than what it originally appeared to be, but the mutas have made their way inside the main base. There is one Phoenix here. There is another one just about to be built as well, and a second Stargate is just about to finish up for Succeed. I dare say he should be okay against this. He may take a few deaths in the probe line, and that's exactly what Blue is going to go for, trying to jump in there and get some damage done. Not a huge amount of worker kills right now, 5 maybe. He'll probably get to 6 or 7 before the Phoenix are able to push out these mutas, but I mean, the Phoenix are already very low. Awesome micro there from Succeed, and the worker count, well, it's still looking relatively good for both, well, at least for Succeed. I mean, 44 isn't too bad at this sort of point. You've been constantly deflecting Zerg attacks all around the map with mutas, of course the swarm hosts, and then these random sorts of attacks with lings and these kinds of things. And it looks like the Locusts, despite being able to get a free run at the front door, are not able to take the pylon down here. So Blue continuing to sort of be a bit frustrated with the damage that he is actually not doing at all against his Protoss opponent. ROOTSucceed is doing a really good job at keeping things on track and very balanced. He's now clearing out some of these swarm hosts in the middle. Is forced to be very careful with the sentries. Of course, the Locusts do a ridiculous amount of damage if you let them be, and the swarm hosts are going to try and run away. It looks like this guy is a little bit out of position here. He's going to burrow and try and get another batch of Locusts off, but I don't think he's going to really be able to get too much. There you go. Pops that Locust. Of course, they make one of the scariest sounds now. It used to be the ghosts. When the ghosts died, they'd have that crazy squeal. But now it's the swarm host. They just sound incredible when they die. But as we can see, the mutas still having a little bit of an aerial battle with Succeed here. Brilliant micro from both players. Of course, we see the Phoenix dancing about, trying to get some shots off on those mutas. They don't have, it doesn't have a fleet beacon at the moment, so there's no upgrades onto the Phoenix range or anything like that. But he's still able to get a sizable amount of damage done. And as you can see, he's able to almost freely roam around this natural base here because of the air control that he has with all these Phoenix. He does pick up a queen, may get the queen. Nope, has to be very careful with the Phoenix here. Still continuing to dance about. The gateway forces on the ground, trying to clear out some of the creep. Lings and things are all bustling about, trying to see if they can defend against this attack. The queen gets lifted up. Meanwhile, down here on the ground, the Protoss forces are getting a little bit overwhelmed here, but I think with the addition of the Zealots and the Phoenix now coming around to save the day, Succeed should be quite fine and should be able to push up into the third base here, and indeed he does. So this third very exposed now, as we can see. The drones forced to run away. The queen trying to do her best as well. She'll probably get picked up by the Phoenix in just a second. There she is. Picks up both the queens, in fact, and he's going to be able to take both of them down. Meanwhile, for Blue, well, he's rushed up to some Lings here, trying to get some Lings to intercept the reinforcements of Succeed, but I mean, a lot of damage has been done. As we can see, he has cleared out that third base, so no mining going on there, despite the minimal worker kills for Succeed. I just noticed that that's a very low sort of worker kill count. But of course, the bonus of what he has been doing is that he's put a lot of pressure. He's deflected the early pressure from Blue, and then he's also put his own pressure on now, which means that our Blue Zerg player has been stuck at around about the 60 worker mark for a little while now. And while that's not necessarily a terrible sort of number to be at, it's something that he might want to have a little bit higher at this point of the game. We are almost 20 minutes into this game, and some Hydras being a little bit unlucky, caught arrived by their foe. The Phoenix up in the air, able to take down most of those Hydras. Very nicely done by Succeed. This guy's micro is absolutely impeccable, and it looks like he will be forced to retreat for the time being, though, because the majority of his attack has been deflected now. So back at home, for Succeed, we've got 69 workers in operation on 3 bases. Of course, he's now started to really beef up that ground force yet again. Still continuing to produce some Phoenix, even though for the most part the Mutas have stopped production. Our blue Zerg player, of course, is still sitting at a total of 64 drones right now. His tech is still coming along. We got +2 on the weapons and armor for those Hydras, and of course their muscular augments are well, they're not getting started just yet. I'm a little bit surprised about that. He does have the ability to grab that. I think that's a little bit of a mistake there for him to not get that started, but it looks like he is going to make up for that a little bit, get some links inside the main base here. He's able to get a little bit of... Has he gotten... No, I don't think he's gotten any of those probes. The Phoenix, meanwhile, have just found a sweet spot in the Zerg base, just able to find the Queens, able to get these Overlords here. If he could just hack apart these Overlords as best as possible, he'll put himself in a wonderful position right now. Unfortunately, he does have some Hydra pressure at the front of the third. Is able to deflect that, of course, with the Colossi coming about. But look at this. Our blue Zerg is being put in the red there. That is never a sight you want to see. Just Phoenix all over a cluster of Overlords there. And they are pushed back by the Corruptors that have eventually come out here from blue. But, I mean, you know, some of the damage was done. He's forced him into the red. We've got 9 Overlords building. Think about that. That is obviously a heap of minerals right now. 900 minerals has just gone down the drain because he has to put that into the Overlords. And, you know, we'll keep an eye on the mining situation because Succeed is now perhaps looking to take a 4th base. He's going to clear out the destructible debris here at, well, I would say this is more the standard sort of expansion in PvZ. It's very close to your 3rd base. The only real downside to this kind of base is that it is very exposed from the air. As we can see here, Mutas can sweep through and perhaps get some damage done. Not to mention, Broodlords off to the side, if our Blue Zerg gets to that point, may do quite a lot of damage. So we'll see how Succeed decides to expand here. His upgrades still also, they're not exactly where you would expect them at this point of the game. Of course, his Forge was very late because we didn't actually see that until later on. That's this one right here in the main base. It's not often you get to see that, but at the moment, his only upgrades are the +1 weapons on these ground units. Of course, the air, no upgrades on that just as of yet. He is researching charge and still continuing to produce some of those high-powered units, the Void Rays and the Colossi, while trying to get some damage on with the Zealots just poking around the map. Able to have a quick look at this 4th base. It is in operation, so he is going to have to try and do something about that if he can. But these Hydras wandering around the map with 2 upgrades are going to be doing a brilliant job. They do have muscular augments now. Yes, they do. So they do finally have that little speed boost, as you can see there, a lot faster than they would normally be in Wings of Liberty. And we'll see how that plays into the hands of Succeed. Of course, he does have 4 Colossi out. They've got their Extended Thermal Lance. No, they don't, actually. No Extended Thermal Lance. That has not been researched just as of yet. But he's got 4 Colossi. That's certainly a lot. And with Zealots on the ground with Charge, these guys are, well, almost charged. It's about to kick in right about now. There you go. All right, they have now got Charge. This is going to be a very potent force for dealing with mostly a Hydra-based force. Now, we'll see what Blue is going to do about this. He's got a lot of Corruptors up in the air. Of course, the Phoenix are going to be in a little bit of trouble now. They previously had air control, but now, unfortunately, with Hydras, with Corruptors out, he is not going to have a fun time in the air with these Phoenix. I would love to see him just pull them back, maybe keep them here with the main sort of Deathball force. He could perhaps poke around from time to time just to see what's going on in the Zerg space, but I mean, if losing them, I suppose there aren't any infestors, which is a big thing you can utilize the Phoenix for, which is lifting up the infestors, meaning that they can't get their fungal growth up. But I mean, you know, he's freed up a little bit of supply. Get started on some Zealots. In fact, I think there is a warp. It's just a basic warp hit. He's going to send them across the map. These guys heading straight for this mineral line here. Of course, the mineral line is protected by a few spine crawlers, but here we go. It looks like the attack is on. Storm is done. Keep in mind, so Succeed is going to have access to that. Looks like the Storm goes down. Zealots at the front. The Corruptors number in a huge amount, as we can see here. They are up there still at 22 Corruptors, but Storm has gone down, and these guys have been really powered down by the Void Rays, and in fact another couple of Storms did downsize the number, but there are still 15 of those up in the air. But the problem is that there is not exactly a huge amount on the ground here for Blue. So while he does a really good job of taking down the units up in the sky, and of course some of those Colossi, he is not really able to push any further with that. So we will see, you know, some of the workers here in the 4th base of Blue go down. He's now starting to look towards a 5th base. He's probably going to at least try to get a 6th base very soon. He really needs to make sure that he has his all his production up on queue. His upgrade's still looking pretty decent right now as well. 2-2 with we've got melee attacks on the way, so we may see a switch over into Ultralisk very soon. Of course, a very powerful combination in late game Zerg versus Protoss, of course, is that the Ultras, adding in some Ultras backed up by some Hydras, maybe some Corruptors in the air, and you know, if you can bring in some of the other caster units like the Infestors, like the Vipers as well, they are fantastic to see those in the game. In fact, that's actually one of the one things I love about Heart of the Swarm is the Vipers. They're actually one of the coolest units to look at. But anyway, it looks like the Nidus Network providing a safe haven for that Queen, at least for a brief moment. She will escape, it looks like. Wait, one more hit. Bam. Down she goes. Not too happy is that Queen right now. But back inside the main, we forced the drones out. We lost a couple of drones, not to mention the Queen as well. And, well, I'm sort of a little bit surprised Succeed hasn't invested in putting down some DTs as well to try and take out some of this tech. Of course, the Hydra Den is here, the Infestation Pit. We've also got the Evo Chambers, but of course they don't really matter. Well, they don't matter a huge amount. There are still some upgrades to go through. But the Great Aspire down at the back right is being built up. Looks like we'll have a double Warp Prism attack here from Succeed, bringing in some Zealots into the 4th base, as well as a Templar, throwing down a Storm, putting some of those drones in the red. Meanwhile, the secondary Prism brings in some Zealots. This is wonderful Warp Prism play here from Succeed. I love seeing this kind of stuff, just to try to abuse some a little bit of the small immobility present in the Zerg units right now. Of course, Hydra's a lot faster than they used to be, but if you're attacking at multiple points, putting down Zealots at the 4th base, at the 3rd base, and of course we saw before at the main as well, that sort of really stretches your defensive capabilities for a Zerg player. So really good to see that kind of stuff. Just looking at the worker count, we're still sitting at a very nice total for Succeed. He's up at 77 workers right now, just repopulating this base up, the 5th base now up to the top left. So he's going to have a really decent economy right now, and he's going to need it because his opponent is looking to switch into Broodlords right now. We see 3 on the way from Blue right now, although, well, he doesn't really have too much gas. This has been a bit of a problem. His gas mining has been disrupted quite a bit at that 3rd and the 4th base. He's now having to put down some drones and switch them into defensive structures. So he is going to suffer a little bit in his mining of the gas right now, and as we can see, the forces of Succeed are just maxed out. He's got a wonderful composition here. We've got Colossi to deal with the Hydras on the ground. We've got Archons that can help out with that massive Corruptors that are still out, and then of course you've got things like the Templar here, able to throw down some Storms. There are a few Stalkers on the ground, but not too many, and interestingly we see that Succeed is only now just getting his Blink in operation. Does he have a second Twilight Council? Yes, he does. He's got a second Twilight Council, but he is researching Blink finally here, and you know, so he is going to be able to use those Stalkers to take care of the Broodlords very soon. And now for, well, for Blue, he's going to move some of these Hydras across, actually getting caught out of position there. We will probably have a very big fight here at the 4th base of Blue. Looks like the Hydras are going to be one of the main defensive units here. Of course, the Broodlords slowly making their way across the map. They're going to float across like big blimps up in the sky. Some Storms going down. The Corruptors are coming across to try and deal with the Colossi and those Voids, and they do a relatively good job. What are these Broodlords doing? There they go. They finally get in the mix and throw down some of their Broodlings, and it looks like this 4th base is not going to last too long because Succeed is just absolutely everywhere. Despite the fact that he has lost a lot of his power units, he's still got a couple of Storms available in some of these Templar, and if he can utilize them really nicely, and yes he does, very nicely done, right on top of those Broodlords, the Archons come in to finish the job. And it looks like, well, this 3rd base could be in a little bit of trouble. We'll see what these Storms are going to do here. In fact, the Storm, there you go. I was going to say, needs to put that down before the Templar get taken out. The Broodlings able to finish them off. and it looks like most of the units here from Succeed will go down, but he has been able to stomp through the 4th, the 3rd, and also potentially this 6th base down here, down at the southern side. In fact, I should say that's the 3rd and, well, this is the 5th base, I suppose, down here. So he is able to take the hatcheries out, and that puts him in a brilliant position. He only needs to build some stalkers now. We've got a few lings on the ground, which will be quite annoying to deal with, but the main composition here from Blue comprises of these broodlords here. If he can't get anything done with these broodlords, then it is effectively game over. We've got him sitting at 100 minerals right now. It takes way too long for him to mine, just because of the massive long distance that he has to roam across the map to get any minerals down. And Succeed, with all of these bases in operation, is 5 bases. His 6th is now on the way as well, and I think that Succeed is probably going to take this one out. He will have to deal with 10 broodlords in total, but the stalkers are now coming in, blinking straight underneath those the broodlords, and he is able to finish off a whole pack of those, despite the damage being done by the broodlings and the zealots on the ground. It looks like that is going to be a victory. So well played from our Blue Zerg player, very nicely done from Succeed. We saw lots of wonderful parts of Protoss play that you see at the high level. We saw prisms, multiple prisms, we saw really good storms, we saw a lot of various sort of multi-pronged attacks as well, and just constantly switching compositions to deal with the various reactions of the Zerg. So really cool stuff. We're looking forward to seeing the new Root player succeed in future tournaments and anything like that they can get into. It should be a lot of fun. Hope you all enjoyed. Please do subscribe, and I'll catch you all next time. Can he deal with all of these Vikings, all of these Thors that are now starting to come out? We see the Thor count just continuing to grow, 2 at a time, 3 at a time, sort of depends on how many minerals good he has.